All right, here's a story. I was taught by one of my teachers, a good friend of Rabbi Mendel Futtefas, and his name is Rabbi Abba Pliskin of blessed memory. And he told me that when he was young, he knew a very well-known Chassid that was named Itchy the Masmid. What's it? Yitzchak Horowitz was his name. Gorevich. The Russians can't say hey. They can't say the letter hey. They say G, right? They say G. G is okay. So Rabbi, let's go. So this Rabbi Horowitz once told him a story. So I'll tell you the story. Yeah, this is how we remembered. Okay, so he said that his teacher once told him that the Chassidic Chabad, they sit up on Thursday nights, they used to sit up and learn this book called Likkutei Torah. We learn that in the morning. So, but God already knows Likkutei Torah, and what we do, God does, he reacts accordingly. When a Jew sits and learns Torah, it says that God learns opposite him. So what does God do on Thursday nights when the Chassidic Chabad are sitting and learning Likkutei Torah? He said God looks for a holy coin for a teacher of children, a school teacher of children. He looks for a holy coin, Mabea Kadosha, a holy coin from the for a Jewish school teacher. Jewish school teachers notoriously did not get paid. They always had trouble getting paid, and they had families, etc. So they had to. It says so. God looks for a holy coin for this teacher. So he never said he never really understood this, and he asked his teacher what it meant, and he says his teacher, Rabbi Yishua Masmid, he heard in the name of Rabbi Hillel Miparach. Rabbi Hillel Miparach, he was a big chassid. He was a tremendous genius, a holy person of the first Rebbe Chabad, the second Rebbe Chabad, third Rebbe Chabad also. I don't think he ever saw the first Rebbe Chabad. Anyway, and he said like this. He said that there was a story that once Rabbi Zusha Manipoli, Rabbi Zusha Manipoli, he would go to a town and he would go to a synagogue and he would sit in the synagogue and learn Torah. And he could learn Torah without stop. And always somebody would notice him and they would bring him food. So it happened that he went to a town and he sat and he learned and someone noticed him and he would bring him food. He said that person became sick. And he had a flu, whatever, and he didn't bring him food. So he didn't bring him food 1 day, 2 days. Says on the third day, he was out without food. And Rabbi Zusha Manipoli said to God, Zusha is hungry. He said, I'm hungry. And it was a big miracle, and they grew in his mouth manna from heaven. They grew in his mouth man, and he ate this. In Hebrew, it's called in the Torah, it's called man. In English, they translated manna. I don't know why, but anyway, they said they grew in his mouth manna, right? And he ate, and that's it was. So the question is asked: why did God do such a weird miracle like that? I mean, he could have somebody else could have noticed him. Someone else could have noticed him and gave him what to eat. He said no. The reason why no one else noticed, why God had to do a miracle, is because there was no one else in the town that had the merit to provide food for Zusha. They had the merit. In other words, there's regular soup, and then there's soup which has a merit to it. Same thing with money. Says there's merit. Sometimes there's money. You can make $100, $1,000, $1 million, whatever, but the money hasn't got any merit to it. It wasn't really earned honestly. Everybody would rather have $1 million, right, than to have a holy $10, right? It says not exactly. If you really appreciate what it means, honest money, truly honest money, then that money has a certain godliness to it because you trusted God. You could have cheated and made a lot, but you decided I'm going to throw myself on the creator of the universe. I believe that the creator of the universe is good, and therefore I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to this. Holy money. He says it's the same thing with with this Zusha. He didn't want to get food. He couldn't have gotten fed from a person that didn't have the merit to feed him. And the same thing is a person who sits and teaches children Torah, as he gets merit and he gets different type of money. And I'll tell you, I live here in Kfar Chabad, and there's Jews in all over, religious Jews. I lived in Bnei Brak, and it's always a big question of how in the world do these people, they have homes and they have families, and a lot of them have a lot of children. They have 5 children, 10 children, and somehow they get by, Yerushalayim especially. So the answer that's given by the non-religious people is obviously it must be stealing or something. It can't. But the idea never occurred into their mind that God provides them holy money, a lot less money, but nevertheless, holy money. And I'll tell you one more story, which is within the story. I think I've told this before. For 3 years, I had a Chabad house in a city right nearby here called Or Yehuda. And Or Yehuda, it used to be, this was like more than 30 years ago, more. In Or Yehuda, there were a lot of taxi drivers, and they're Iraqi Jews. Iraqi Jews are a special type of Jew. They're intelligent usually, but a lot of them are also very not religious. Some of them are even anti-religious, and they do it with all sorts of good reasons. They're logical. They loved arguments and anyway. For some reason, they took a liking to me. All of these taxi drivers, even though I didn't use them that much, I had my own car, but they all took a liking to me. And I really became good friends with a lot of them, and I invited them, I remember, to my son's bar mitzvah and everything like that. For some reason, we really got along very well. Anyway, they had a big problem that they were always fighting among each other also. So one guy got angry and he broke off and he made his own taxi company, and he got his own drivers and everything in Or Yehuda. So they had a big problem what to do. The new company that opened up, they kept Shabbat. Even though I don't know how religious they were, but they figured it was they could make money that would appeal to the ever increasing religious community, because it started really increasing. Now it's almost totally religious over there in Or Yehuda. It's almost totally. But in any case, that was what it was. So they said, what can we do? So they had a big argument between them. They called me in to mitigate between the argument that was in this, the original cab company. What are we going to do? This new company opened up and they keep Shabbat. If we don't keep Shabbat, what's it going to be? We're going to lose everything. We can't. 1/3 of our income is on Shabbat, even more. 2/5 is on Shabbat. And as it is, we don't make enough. So, it was a big argument, yelling and screaming, and we're not religious, we don't care about it, and we're not. What's the Shabbat? So I said to him, listen, you guys, why are you having this problem? Because the fact is you're losing money, right? So I said, listen, close the cab company on Shabbat and don't officially work on Shabbat. I mean, you also shouldn't work on Shabbat at all. But listen, I can't control your lives. The company should be closed on Shabbat. You don't take any phone calls, put a big sign up, we're closed on Shabbat. Right? That's it. Officially, you're not given. If you drive your car, and I advise you not to drive your cars, I advise you stay home and make a meal with your family, 2 meals with your family. You all have a synagogue near you. Go to the synagogue and say, and all these guys, they know what Judaism is, So there was yelling, we can't do it, we're going to lose money. Anyway, short story, what happened was they did it. And the first month I came back, they got this, we're losing money. The second month, I came back and said, no, how is it? We said we were going to do it for 2 months, right? And they said, yeah, the fact is that we're all losing money. We're all losing money, that we're earning, each person earns like, only 2/3 of what he used to earn before. I said, but you know what? Everybody gets along. He says, we don't understand how it works. He said, but we have the same debts as we had before. And we have we have one day of the week where we're together with our family. We sit, we make a nice meal. My wife makes a meal. She doesn't cook on Shabbat. I go to the synagogue with there's people. We meet people. The kids, they come home. We ask them to sit with us. We make it's a day of rest. I can sleep. I can do whatever I want. All these fellows eventually, I think one by one, if not them, then their children became religious. But that's not the main point. The point is that if you keep Shabbat, maybe on the papers, on the books, doesn't work out. But in fact, it does work out. So that's what we call holy money. And that's what the Rebbe is talking about. If you're connected to the creator of the universe and you have a little bit of trust, then you'll know that if God creates the world and he provides for everyone, is that he can provide for you as well. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, tomorrow, 8:15 in the morning. See you all in Chassidut class. And I hope that tomorrow maybe we'll change this setting so that everybody can get in. And anyway, it'll work out. Shalom.